welcome back to another episode of Coming Into Bloom. I am here with a special guest because unfortunately Lisa has a lot going on in her personal life and at the farm, so she is unable to be a part of the podcast for a few weeks. But until then, we have a few special guests who are going to be joining us on the podcast. This is the lucky number 13th episode, or should I say unlucky number 13th. But I have a pretty lucky guest today that I'm so excited to introduce you guys to. If you're on YouTube, you already see him sitting next to me. And if you're listening in, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I am Tristen. I am Caitlinne's fiance that I'm sure you all have heard a lot about. But I'm finally here. You finally get to see who I am.
Yes! I'm so excited that Tristen is joining me on the podcast today. We talk about you in every episode, and I'm sure everyone is excited to hear your voice and get to know you. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Tristen. What is your college major? What are your hobbies? Your favorite TV show?
So my major is wildlife management. It has been a very long haul to get to where I'm at in college. We won't say how long, but it's been a very long haul. Me and Caitlynne met at ABAC, of course. And my hobbies, I have them, but I stay too busy to do them. But I like to hunt and fish. But I have two jobs. I work at the Georgia Peanut Commission, and I also work at the Georgia Museum of Agriculture with Caitlynne for the events coordinator. And between those two and school, I have no time left over for anything. So, don't really do a whole lot.
But we're going to be graduating soon, and you will have a lot of extra time to be able to enjoy your hobbies. I think he's only been hunting maybe 10 times or less since we've been together. So, all 4 years of college for me. So, I'm sure he's excited to get back in a deer stand more often whenever we graduate.
Yeah, I haven't. But it's hard for me to go hunting because I live in Tifton, and the places that I go hunting normally are about 2.5 hours away. So, like I said, I have two jobs, so it's almost impossible for me to have time to go home on the weekends to hunt. So, spend my time here.
Yeah, but it's okay because your time is coming soon. Our time is coming soon. So we have been together for over 3 years. Our wedding is in May, and our future is very uncertain right now because we both graduate, and hopefully Tristen can get a job, and hopefully I go to grad school. But honestly, we don't know. I've applied. It's just a hurry up and wait kind of situation that we're in right now. But are you excited for our future?
I am. Wherever it takes us, whether it's in Florida or Iowa or Texas.
Yeah, that's a hint to maybe where I've applied to grad school. Thanks for dropping that one, Tristen. So I have a question for you. What were some clubs or things that you were involved in growing up in elementary school, middle school, high school?
Well, to begin with, I was in Boy Scouts. I never finished. I don't even remember what rank I got to. When I got to high school, 9th grade, I stopped doing Boy Scouts because it just got to be too much. And then in high school, I was in ROTC all 4 years. And it was probably either going to be college or the military. And you see where I'm at. Been at ABAC for a long time.
It's okay because we'll just go ahead and say it. It's taken Tristen 6 years to get a degree. But that's okay because some people it takes 16 years to get a 2-year degree. So I think it's fine. We're all on our own schedule, and you're graduating this semester, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, I made it.
You made it. So the club that I was involved in most of my, not the most of my life, but from middle school through high school was the National FFA organization. So Tristen knows a little bit about it because of me telling him over the years of what I've done in it. But honestly, you don't really know it or understand it fully, do you?
Yeah, you just learn about farming and show animals.
You just learn about farming and show animals. Gosh, if anyone else has ever been an FFA and is listening to him say that, you're probably cringing. But yeah, we wanted to talk about this week because this week is National FFA Week. So they celebrate it this year from February 18th to February 25th. When this posts, it'll be the middle of FFA week, I'm pretty sure. But FFA used to be called the Future Farmers of America, but now
that's not what it is anymore.
That's not what it is anymore because it's not all about farming anymore. It's about science and math and engineering and communications.
So what does the FFA stand for then?
When they're going to keep the FFA because of the history behind it, but they changed it to the National FFA organization so people don't just think about farming whenever you think about the organization.
Well, that's interesting because I just learned this week that the Quality Deer Management Association is no longer the Quality Deer Management Association, QDMA. It's now the National Deer Association, NDA.
Okay. And so what do?
They are a group that helps people that own private land and that also work with state agencies on public land. But their goal is to set up sustainable hunting practices so that way you can grow bigger deer on your property and have more deer on your property. So instead of, every couple of years having a nice big wall hanger buck, you will have several every year on your property.
Oh, okay.
And they just have a lot of peer-reviewed literature, work with universities on master's and doctorate degrees to research and build up the program so that way they know how to do that.
And you think you haven't learned anything in 6 years. Look at all that knowledge you just dropped on us today. So one thing about Tristen is he knows a lot about wildlife, not only just because of college, but even before that. So he can drop some wildlife knowledge on you in normal conversation like that. So we appreciate that, Tristen. Thanks for throwing that in there. So we're going to hop back to FFA. So the FFA is intracurricular, which means that you have to have an agriculture program at your school to have an FFA chapter. So 4-H, Boy Scouts, all of those organizations that don't relate to school, you don't have to be like in a 4-H class to take 4-H. Whereas FFA, you have to be in an ag class to be an FFA. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So that's one really cool thing about FFA and why a lot of people aren't able to be in it because like your high school didn't have FFA, right?
Yeah, they didn't. They had just about everything else, but no FFA.
Do you think that you would have been in FFA if they had it?
Probably.
Yeah, I feel
like they didn't have it in when I was probably in elementary school. They built a second high school in my county, which wasn't there before. I went to the same high school as my mom, and they never had it back then or up until the time, and I'm pretty sure they still don't have it now. But I think the other high school now has FFA.
Oh, the other high school, the new one? Gotcha. Cool. So you would fit in, I think, because they have CDEs, like forestry, and a lot of like natural resources competitions. So I'm going to tell you what a CDE is because I'm sure you're confused. So a CDE is a career development event. So it's a competition where either you are judging something or a judge is judging you. And there's local, like sub-district, district, and state and national competitions. So sometimes you have to like build your way up to be able to get to like the state level. And some competitions, CDEs, don't have like sub-district, district. Some of them are just state competitions. Some of them are don't go past the sub-district or district. Like tractor driving is a CDE, but that's not seen at the state level. So you can like do tractor driving for your county or whatever, but there's not going to be a state competition for it or a national competition. So another thing about FFA is they have these things called SAEs, which are supervised agricultural experiences. Do you know what my SAE was in high school? It's a project. I guess I can explain it to you, and then maybe you'll remember it. So an SAE is a project that you are a part of. A lot of times, I don't want to give it away, but people show animals, or they sell honey from their honeybees, or produce at their local farmer's market from their backyard garden. Those are really great examples of SAEs. What was my SAE?
You raised bacon.
Yep. I raised bacon. I did show market pigs for 4 years. I don't love the industry. It's definitely not for me, but it was a really great experience, and I loved getting the paycheck at the end of it. I'm trying to think of other examples of SAEs of people that I know. Oh, another thing that I was a part of that eventually turned into an SAE for some students is starting a goat show at my local county fair for students with special needs to be able to show a goat, and they would get paired with a 4-H member or an FFA member to be able to show, and it was super awesome. There had been nothing like that in Northeast Florida when I was in high school, so it was really cool to be a part of that and build that. They still do it. I'm just unfortunately not a part of it anymore. I went to college and couldn't keep up, but that is what an SAE is. So do you think you understand those now?
Yeah.
If you were an FFA, what would have been your SAE? I think that you would have done, like, make your own corn blend or something for, like, deer hunting, and then you would have sold it.
So you don't it's not just showing animals?
No, it's not just showing animals. It's any type of way, like any type of project outside of the classroom that you do. That's like related to ag.
I would have showed a cow.
I don't see that happening. You can show horses, but they kind of have to be fancy horses, and I guess you weren't really around super fancy horses growing up.
Yeah, and you can't sell those for a profit.
Yeah,
because nobody's gonna eat them.
That's illegal, right? Okay, so I have some questions up here, and you can go ahead and ask me these questions, and I'll answer them for you. Start with this one.
So what does the uniform look like?
So an FFA uniform is a blue corduroy jacket that gets you hot in the summer and cold in the winter. It is not good with keeping you cooled down in the summer or warm in the winter. They're kind of miserable, but that's besides the point. And so blue corduroy, and underneath is a white button-up t-shirt or white button-up shirt. You can have long sleeve or short sleeve, because if you don't take off your jacket, nobody knows. And then men wore ties and women wear scarves, but it's like a little short tie. A lot of people refer us to what are the people on planes? Flight attendant. A lot of people compare our uniforms to flight attendant uniforms and how they have like little scarves. Yeah, that was FFA too. So, and then you wear a black pencil skirt, off black pantyhose, and black shoes. And then men wear black pants, and women. Women can also wear the black pants as well, and black shoes. But you can't really wear denim. You'll get points off and stuff for that. If you're like wearing this to a competition, you get judged on your uniform.
Same way with ROTC. If you had to, we had to wear it. We didn't never wear it to like competitions unless you were on a team, which I was actually on the drill team. I had to wear it whenever we had competitions, mostly on Saturdays. And every Thursday, though, during the semester, you would have to wear your uniform. And you'd have to get it dry cleaned. You'd have to wear it to school all day. You couldn't bring it and change into it for the class. You had to wear it all day long.
Wow.
And everything had to be perfect. Like, had to use like a ruler to measure stuff. And then since I was on the drill team, we had the camouflage, the ACUs, or I think they're called ACUs, Army Combat Uniform. Mm-hmm. We had to wear those on the Thursdays that we had a competition that Saturday, so we wouldn't get our uniform dirty after we got dry cleaned, so we could wear it to the competition on Saturday.
Gotcha. So uniforms were really big in ROTC too then. Yeah. If people were wearing it wrong, were they like made fun of or anything, or were you just not allowed to be in the competition?
On competition days, since I was on the drill team, the people that were on teams knew better how to wear it right. And if you, for some reason, had something wrong, our instructor would like fix it for you.
Gotcha.
Because if not, most competitions would be, or like there was several different competitions at each meet, and you would, some of them, they would like really hardly inspect your uniform, because that's basically what you, like, you walk out there and you stand at attention and you just are presenting yourself like for your looks. But others was just more of a fun thing, because the drill team is like where you go out and you have sometimes a flag, but that's mostly color guard, but you have their rifles and you're like twirling them, throwing them in the air, doing fun stuff like that. So like when you're doing those, they're looking more for precision, and what you're doing with the rifles more so than what your like uniform looks like.
Okay. So for us, for competitions, you would just get points off if you weren't in correct official dress. But sometimes people were ruthless and were really mean to people who weren't wearing correct official dress. Like if a girl was wearing like tennis shoes with her pantyhose rather than like flats or heels, like people were so mean about that to them, which I don't know if that was like technically out of like dress code or not. I don't remember. But yeah, people were kind of ruthless. One time a girl wore like a skater skirt rather than a pencil skirt, so it kind of flared out, and like she got dragged through the mud for that, and people were really angry at her. Or like if you're not wearing pantyhose, or if your pantyhose are like pitch black, yeah, people don't like that, and I don't understand it. Like sometimes you can't get the clothes that you need, and so I understand you have to kind of figure out a way to make it work.
Or you only have one and you just didn't have time to wash it.
Yeah, that too. If you have multiple competitions that weekend, or, you know, don't do your laundry until every other month.
Like we work at the museum and we have one polo, and sometimes there's 5 events in a weekend.
Yes, that was this week. Oh my goodness. Okay, so you want to ask me that question?
So if we were one day to have kids, would they be in FFA? If the high school they went to had it.
So, in my opinion, yes. I definitely think that our hypothetical children one day would be in FFA. What do you think?
I think that if they went to a high school that had multiple things, like FFA and ROTC and construction or
yeah,
like a mechanic, whatever that mechanic class is called, something like that, you know, whatever they choose. Like if, you know, you want them to be an FFA because you were an FFA early and you went to all the big events in DC and Indianapolis or wherever, but
you're saying they would be okay if they weren't, or they didn't like it?
Well, if they didn't, they would definitely have to do something. They would need to do something extracurricularly, but it wouldn't have to be FFA if that's not the one that they felt the most drawn to.
I'm glad we're having this talk now, because I disagree. Because I feel like FFA was so different for me than any other organization or club I was involved in, or even sports. Like FFA was just so different, and I learned so much that other clubs I just don't think you learn. Like I have been to state convention for other clubs, and it's just not the same. I digress. We'll move past that, but maybe we'll have that talk later if we have kids one day, which is highly not likely anyway.
We'll just put our dogs in FFA.
Yeah, our dogs can join.
Anyway, on to the next question. Is there anything else you would like to bring up about FFA that you think is interesting or important?
So, I think so. I have a best friend named Carly Beth, or Carly, or KB, and I met her because of FFA. And if it wasn't for FFA, I would have never known her, because she was at a different high school in my county. I grew up right outside of Jacksonville, and there's like 8 high schools in my county, and she's at the one like furthest from me. So I literally would have never known her if it hadn't been for FFA. So maybe that's why our kids should be in it one day, because they'll make friends they never would have had. But I digress. Another thing is ABAC was my eventual college destination because of FFA. So I think if I had not been in it, I would not have met you, and I would not be here at ABAC or graduating this semester. So, yeah, I think that's all that I have to say about that. Is there anything else you want to say about FFA? I'm going to take that as a no. Well, happy National FFA Week, everyone. A lot of high schools celebrate this, or middle schools and high schools celebrate this by having dress-up days, like a spirit week. They have guest speakers who are involved in agriculture. They come talk to their students. So I hope that you guys are having a good FFA week. And if you didn't even know it was this week, look into it. There's a lot of cool things going on across the nation, and maybe even in your local chapter. A lot of chapters do fundraisers this week to fundraise for their chapter. Go to state convention, that's coming up soon. So look into that and see where you can help out and where you fit in.
Yeah. And also, I wasn't in FFA like we already said, but we know a lot of people from ABAC that have graduated with ag education degrees, and they're now teaching for schools in the state and other states for FFA. So shout out to them. I know none of them are probably listening, but
I'll send that clip to them. How about that? So we're going to go ahead and move on to one of the games that me and Lisa play every week, which is the Name 5 game. So I don't have the cards with me, but Lisa has these cards that have all these different prompts on them, and you name 5 of the things related to that prompt. So this week, since I don't have the cards, I came up with one, and we're going to do name 5 organizations or clubs that kids can be a part of in high school.
And it can't be ones that you were in or that I was in.
Oh, wow. That'll get hard because I was in so many in high school.
Oh, well, the main one. The one we just talked about. Okay. Because I was only in one.
Well, I'm going to say the National Honor Society. I was in that one, NHS. I got like a really cool stole to wear at graduation because of it. And it just GPA stuff.
Well, I was only in one. And it was ROTC. I was in it for all 4 years, so I got cords to wear. But I'll go with the Beta Club.
The Beta Club. So that was like NHS, but just a little bit lesser strict to get in, correct? Yeah.
I wasn't in it, so I don't know.
I think that's how it was at my school. I don't know if that's everywhere, but basically it's an honor society. Yep, we're going to go with that. The next one is another club I was in, which was FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America. And that one's very similar to FFA, but instead of it being about agriculture, it's about business. And I really enjoyed that club too. I went to their state convention. That was the one I was talking about earlier that I'd been to. FBLA, that was a good one.
When I wasn't in the club, but for 2 years, I think, in high school, because you had to do 2 separate things. So ROTC was one, but it was one that I was like fully invested in. And then another one was I was in engineering class for 2 years, and they had a club. And they also did like robotics and other fun stuff. But I had the class, but other than that, I wasn't in it.
Gotcha. That is a good one. I think they had something like that similarly at my high school. I just don't remember what it was called. But anyway, another club that I'm thinking of, is this number 4 that we're on now? I think. We've done 4 because you started. Oh, okay. And then I did the second, you did third. Okay, so this is the last one. It's called HOSA. Have you ever heard of it?
I don't know what it is, but I've heard of it.
It's like medical, maybe like health something student association. I don't know. But it's one where you can gain certifications.
Oh, I was friends with people in that. You could graduate from high school with a CNA.
Oh, yeah.
Certified
okay.
nursing something. I don't know what it stands for, but certified nursing something or another. And the people that I was acquainted with that had it hated it. Like, they loved getting it, but they hated like the week of clinicals they had to do or whatever because they had to work in a nursing home. And
oh, wow. Yeah, that's not fun.
Do the dirty things that nursing home people do.
So that leads us perfectly into our quote of the week. And Tristen, since you're our special guest, would you like to read it for us?
So the quote of the week is, "The future belongs to the few of us who are willing to get our hands dirty." And with us going to ABAC, that very much applies to people in any kind of agriculture or natural resources field, because you're always out in the field doing something, whether it's flower farming or even if you're just the social media manager for a flower farm, you still have to go out there and take pictures, and sometimes you got to move stuff around to get the perfect one. I'm wildlife management, and I have a project going on right now where yesterday I had to go out to the forest that the school owns for wildlife and forestry majors, and we had to get on a side-by-side and ride around all the roads to get GPS points to make a map for the roads. Mm-hmm. And
you got dirty the other day.
It's been raining a lot. I'm sure you guys already know that, but it's been raining a lot. So the roads, there's like 3 creek crossings on the roads that we had to drive through, and one of them was like really flooded. We didn't realize how bad it was. And we drove the side-by-side in. I was driving, and we were cruising along, and all of a sudden it just dropped off, and the side by side, like there was like 6 inches of water over the floorboard of the side by side, and then we had to get off at another spot and walk. I was covered in mud up to my knees.
Guess what? You're about to graduate, and the future belongs to you because you're willing to get dirty. That's awesome, Tristen. Thanks for sharing that story. And thank you for being on the podcast today. Lisa is going to listen to this and be so jealous that she was not able to talk to you today. I already know it. Is there anything else that you want to add to today's episode?
I was glad to be here.
Aw, well, we're glad to have you. And I hope that you can come back because this has been fun. I love showing you off.
Maybe with Lisa next time.
Yeah, maybe
and
with
Brent.
Lisa.
We can throw Brent in there too.
Oh gosh, that would be an episode for sure. Having all 4 of us on there, I don't know if we could handle all that chaos.
Yeah, okay. So me and Brent will make our own. We'll have our own.
Okay.
Me and Brent will release an episode on a Thursday just for.
Wow, a special Thursday episode. Yeah. Okay, you heard it here first, folks. All right, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will hear you guys. No, you guys will hear me again next week. I will have another special guest, but don't worry, I won't keep Lisa from you forever. She will be back very soon, and next week I'll have a flower update because I have not had a time to get a flower update this week. Normally we add that into our podcast, but if only y'all knew the week I've had.
It's been very, very busy.
Yes.
For both of us, but you especially.
Yes. I'm not going to share the news yet that I had something big happen in my life this week, and anyway, I'll share that on another episode, not the next one. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in. And how excited do you think your mom is that you're going to be on this podcast episode?
I don't know. I'm sure we'll hear about it as soon as it comes out.
As soon as it comes out. Bye, guys.